Chapter 61. Special Item. Master Sommelier Faucet. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Little Huss' ears, or rather the two edges of the bolster, perked up. I want 2 packs. Su-Yung clenched his teeth and said, Don't push it. Little Huss was not afraid of anything at the moment. 2 packs. 2 packs. Su-Yung squeezed his answer out of his gnashing teeth, Fine. Little Huss was exalted and reacted like a silly husky. He jumped around the villa and started to sniff around. After he was done with the living room, he hopped to the other rooms and continued sniffing. 10 minutes later, he came back to Su-Yung and said, Su-Yung, I've picked up 2 spots. Which one do you want to add first? Su-Yung giggled. Only kids make a choice. I'll take both. Little Huss waved the edge of the bolster and said, Follow me. Su-Yung followed the hopping bolster into the bedroom. Little Huss jumped onto the bed and used its little edge to slip inside the drawer of the bedside cabinet. The whole bolster then pushed itself into the tiny seam as if it was liquid, and when Little Huss pushed his head against the drawer, it opened up. Su-Yung was rendered speechless. He finally knew why the snacks he had hidden in his drawer had gone missing. The snacks disappeared a little by the day, and when he questioned Deanie and Gru, who had hands, they said they did not take any. Su-Yung never found out who the culprit was, but now he had. Little Huss did not realize that he had exposed his own crimes. After he pushed the drawer open, he jumped out and pointed into the drawer with its bolster edge. This thing that looks like a carrot that it smells really good. Confused, Su-Yung walked to the drawer because he did not remember keeping a carrot inside. He looked inside and found the ginseng that old Zhou had given him. His lecturer thought his body was weak, hence the ginseng. Su-Yung was always healthy and taking ginseng would make his nose bleed easily. Therefore, after he got the present from old Zhou, he never ate it and simply kept it in his basement room. It was when he moved into the villa that he took it out and put it into his bedside cabinet. He did not expect that the ginseng would stand a chance. He took the ginseng with him and followed the hopping bolster into the toilet in Deanie's room. Su-Yung was wondering what Little Huss had found in Deanie's toilet that was worth adding points to. The toilet bowl. Could he flush the toilet and travel back to the past? Or would turning the shower on hasten a plant's growth? Was it the plunger? Would adding points to it turn it into the strongest divine artifact? Su-Yang's imagination was going wild. The more he thought about it, the wilder it got. Then, Little Huss brought Su-Yung to a faucet and pointed at it with its edge. This smells good too. Su-Yung did not know how to respond. **ting me. A faucet. In the next 30 minutes, Su-Yung transformed himself into a plumber and removed the faucet from Deanie's toilet. Whether Little Huss was right or not, he would still have to take it out and have a look for himself. What should I do with this basin? Whatever. If the faucet doesn't work, I'll just buy a new one to replace it. There are a lot of toilets in the villas, so I guess it won't be a problem. Su-Yung was delighted with the ginseng and the faucet in his hands. He had gotten 2 items with possibilities at the same time. Which one should he add points to first? One of the best choices in life was to choose between gold and money. A little hesitation later, Su-Yung decided to go with the faucet first. It was not that he did not like the ginseng, but it was because the ginseng was expensive and the faucet was cheaper. Su-Yung decided to give it a test first, so even if it failed, he would not lose a lot. He headed to the master bedroom toilet to wash his hands with his lucky soap before heading to the living room. He picked up the faucet and activated the point system. A translucent plus sign appeared on top of the faucet. He tapped on it without a second thought, and after a gleam, the point was added. It worked. Su-Yung knew it worked at the very first moment because the faucet changed drastically like the first special item he got, the fruit-loving pen. The faucet changed its shape with the shimmer, and after it faded, a bright silver faucet appeared in his hand. Unlike a normal faucet, the other end of the faucet had turned into a round rubber pad. Su Yang touched it and it felt sticky. It seemed to be able to stick onto any surface. The lever had also turned into a round disc and there were 10 slots on it. The slots divided the disc into 10 smaller areas, and there was a tiny arrow located at the tip of the lever. It resembled a dial lock of a safe and he could spin the lever to point the tiny arrow at a specific slot. While Su Yang was sizing it up, the introduction of the new faucet popped up. Master Sommelier Faucet, Ability. You are able to store the beverage you've drunk in a single slot. Choose the slot, turn the lever, and the specific beverage would flow out of the faucet endlessly. Restriction 1. You must drink at least 500 milliliters of the beverage in a single drinking session to be able to store it in a single slot. Restriction 2. You can store up to 10 slots. The beverage won't be automatically stored once the limit is exceeded. The user can swap a new beverage with an existing one within a day after drinking. Restriction 3. Only 1,320 gallons of a single type of beverage can be produced a single day. Remark. It is considered an honor to have a sip of 82 Chateau Lafite, but you can swim in it. Su Yang touched his chin when he went through the description of this special item. A smirk slowly appeared on his face. Swimming in 82 Chateau Lafite. The thought of it alone is awesome enough, but will I get drunk? Ahem. He really wanted to tell the world that he had a faucet that could produce 1,320 gallons of Chateau Lafite in a single day so that they would come and buy it from him. Even if he did not have Chateau Lafite, a bottle of original Wuliangye would also work. He would really be wasting the faucet if he did not use it to sell fake alcohol. Can I drink gasoline? Will this faucet produce 1,320 gallons of gasoline a day? Su Yang quickly discarded this dangerous thought out of his mind. He must have spent too much time with Little Huss, so much to the point that he started to think dangerously. He would never drink gasoline and he did not have any Chateau Lafite or Wuliangye either, so it would be better for him to take baby steps. He had been worried about how the villa would get its water supply before this, but now, with the faucet, the problem was solved. Su Yang went out of his neighborhood and headed to the nearby supermarket to buy a bottle of 550 milliliters slightly sweet mineral water. He finished the whole bottle in a single guzzle. He never thought that a single bottle of water would be too much since he drank it occasionally, but drinking a whole bottle in a single go was difficult. The water rumbled in his stomach and made him want to throw up. After he finished the bottle of mineral water, a line of words appeared on the disc slot of the Master Sommelier Faucet. Su Yang had a closer look and saw a line that read, "Slightly sweet mineral water." It worked. Excitedly, he stuck the faucet on the wall. The sticky pad at the bottom slowly merged with the wall and even dyed itself the same color as the wall, as if a faucet had grown from the wall. Su Yang then dialed the lever to the mineral water slowly and pressed it. Clear mineral water then flowed out from the silver faucet. Chapter 62. 2 new missions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yang put his cup under the faucet and filled it with the water. He took a sip and it tasted exactly like what he drank earlier. Even the sweetness was there. This faucet is great. Su Yang looked at Gru. The living twig liked to drink and bathe in milk, but Su Yang had been too poor before this, so he could only afford a carton of milk once in a while. With the faucet, all he needed to do was drink 500 milliliters of milk in one go and he could enjoy an endless supply of milk. Not only would Gru benefit from this, but even Dini and himself could also drink, and he might even spare Little Huss a bowl or two. Su Yang thought of his father, who actually liked to have some alcohol after work, but his family was too poor to afford it on a daily basis. Therefore, alcohol would only be served in a limited amount during festivals and it would be the cheapest kind. He thought of bringing some canned beers back during his semester break so that his father could have a can or two during his break. With the faucet, Su Yang did not have to worry about beer anymore. His father could have as much as he wanted. Su Yang originally did not plan on buying expensive alcohol, but since he would just have to buy it once, then he could enjoy it endlessly. He felt like he should invest more for once. He actually thought of buying a bottle of Wulianye with 52% alcohol to store in the faucet. But will I die if I drink 500 milliliters of white wine in one go? Su Yang hesitated. He realized he should think it over and not ruin his body over a present for his father. He then called Dini over and gave her the faucet after he removed it from the wall. After teaching her how to use the faucet, he told her to fill up the villa's water supply with the mineral water. Everyone in the villa would be able to live a better life with the endless mineral water supply. Dini sized up the faucet for a while and even checked it carefully. She then meekly said, "Master, if you drink milk, does it mean that I can have a milk bath in the future?" Su Yang sized up her fair skin. However, he did not want to imagine the scene of Dini soaking herself in a milk bath. Dini's fair and silky smooth skin might just blend in with the milk bath and he might not be able to differentiate her from it. Su Yang quickly discarded his messy thoughts and nodded. "Of course, I'll have some milk when I'm free." Little Hus overheard the conversation from the side. After hearing what Su Yang said, he hopped to him excitedly and asked, Su Yang, does it mean I can have an endless supply of dog food?" Su Yang rolled his eyes at the husky bolster. "No, the faucet only produces liquid, not dog food." Little Hus looked askance at him. "Then, why don't you blend the dog food and mix it with water, you still can drink it." Su Yang could not help but retch when he pictured himself drinking 500 milliliters of blended dog food. He kicked the bolster away. "Go away." After Little Hus left, Gru extended its sprout and circled the table. The sprouts then tightened up and uprooted its remaining body from the pot. It then wiggled towards Su Yang. It looked up at Su Yang and meekly, "Gru.ed." Su Yang tapped on its head and said, "Don't worry. You will also get your milk." Gru. Gru danced around happily by swinging its sprouts around. "Since these two little cuties want milk, I guess I have to move buying milk up my schedule." Su Yang quickly came up with a plan. He planned to buy several cartons of milk later together with a bottle of Coke, Sprite and apple-flavored Mirinda. They were all soft drinks that he had drank before and liked but did not want to spend money on them. Even though they were all carbonated drinks and were not very healthy if consumed in excess, the faucet still had many slots, so Su Yang thought of filling them up first. At least, he could have something to drink when he wanted to. "Right, I should buy a box of coconut juice too. That's tasty as well." He planned to fill up the faucet slots within a week so that he would have access to different kinds of drinks whenever he wanted. How great would that be? After Su Yang came up with the plan, he reminded himself to buy another measuring cup. It could prevent himself from overdrinking since not all beverages came in 500 milliliter sizes like that 550 milliliters of mineral water. Having a measuring cup would be a lot easier. With the plan set, Su Yang decided to move on to the second item. The ginseng. However, after he washed his hands, the notification ringtone of his phone echoed throughout the villa. "You have a message in WeChat." Su Yang had actually told Dini to set up the special notification ringtone. The villa existed in the virtual space of the phone, so both phone calls and messages could be answered and replied through a holographic panel at every corner of the villa, even when he was taking a bath. Su Yang wiped his hands dry and said, "Dini." The WeChat interface popped up in front of him and the newly received message was displayed. It was from Lin Jili. Su Yang tapped on it and saw it was a reply to a message he had sent 3 hours ago. "I'm sorry. I was dealing with something urgent. Yeah, I believe I can do it as well. I believe in myself." After reading the message, Su Yang suddenly felt like the lady somehow treated him as a special someone who she could talk to. If he was right, he was just a stranger whom she had met once, and she did not even know who he was. However, since Su Yang helped her recover her lost phone, a layer of trust and intimacy was formed between them. The unusual relationship gave Lin Jili the confidence to voice her mind out without pressure, and she did not have to worry about Su Yang exposing her deepest thoughts. It was similar to how people like to talk to friends they met online rather than to a family member or a real life friend. To Lin Jili, other than her identity as an artist, she was also a beautiful lady. Su Yang took the initiative and talked to her that day, so it must have made her think of him as a talkative person. However, the truth was entirely different. Su Yang found her messages troubling and irritating. He never signed up to be a listener in the first place. He found the messages about her feelings extremely lame. Now, the lady was interrupting his point-adding session. Adding points was important to Su Yang because he could change his life if he did it well, but if he screwed up, everything would be ruined. If Lin Jili made him fail the point-adding or somehow ruined the ginseng, Su Yang would cry a river. Therefore, he decided to ignore her. The moment he turned off the holographic panel and wiped his hands, a beep sounded in his head. New bronze mission. What the? You've really done it this time. Su Yang did not even need to open the system to know what kind of mission the system had given him. The system was somewhat shameless. If the system gave him a random mission, he might really man up and ignore it for once, but it was a bronze mission. I'm starting to suspect that the system isn't a magical point-adding system. It must be some love simulation or love-assisting program. The missions are all about women. Why don't you give Li Run some mission? Beep. New random mission, what the hell? Is the system this smart now that it can read my mind? Su Yang grumbled, I bet you won't give me a mission that I can complete by sleeping. The system did not respond this time. Or maybe a mission about eating. The system still did not respond. As Su Yang accepted his defeat, he tapped on the two missions and checked them. Bronze mission. Hear Lin Jili out and patiently reply to her messages. 0 out of 10, Lin Jili is an artist in showbiz. She is currently suffering from slight depression and due to various reasons, she treats you as someone who she could express her thoughts to and not have to worry about being exposed. Please hear her trouble out 10 times and show your concern like a real friend through your replies. Chapter 63. Does she really have depression? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yang did not get cheated by the long mission description. He only cared about the number 10. She's going to speak her mind 10 times. Su Yang felt like he was going mad. All the bronze missions were never easy. Could he somehow reject it? Could he? He could not. Bronze missions were rare and were not something he could ask for. On top of that, completing one bronze mission would reward him with a special ability, so he could not just give up on it. Therefore, he took back what he said and accepted the mission. After he accepted the bronze mission, he moved on to the new random mission. When he read through the random mission, he grunted in confusion because it was not related to Li Run's. And here I thought that the system is so smart that it can hear what I say and give me missions based on what I'm thinking. No wonder. New random mission. Tutor Tang Xiaomi once. The title was simple and did not come with a description or remark. This sounds more like a random mission. Su Yang did not know why the system would give him a mission related to Tang Xiaomi, but he suspected something must have happened between the mother and daughter again. He did not accept the mission right away because he needed to find out more. His current priority would be replying to Lin Jili's messages. He tapped on the WeChat icon and searched for Lin Jili. Her name reminded him that he just prematurely ended his point-adding session, so he grumbled softly, what a troublesome woman. After that, he forced a smile on his face and replied in a caring manner, it's fine. Your work is more important. What's wrong? Are you feeling better now? Su-young found his message off-putting after he tapped send. It did not match his personality at all and he should really learn how to reply from Lee runs. Maybe he should just send a mm. A while later, Lin Jilly replied. She sent a sticker of 2 ducks spinning around madly, which probably meant that she was going out of control. What followed was a line of words. I feel better. I've gotten over it anyway. I can't reverse time, but if I can, I never would have agreed to partner with her. In the end, she even added a roaring sticker. Su-young was stunned by the replies. Hey, system, let's have a talk. Are you sure this woman has symptoms of depression? I know you emphasize the slight in your description, but this is way too light. Are you kidding me? And she really likes to send stickers. Where did she download all the stickers? Su-young quietly saved all the stickers in his own WeChat for future use. He really had to admit Lin Jilly was a chatterbox when she was free. After her switch was turned on, she was ceaseless with the messages. Su-young's WeChat was being spammed by her messages one after another. How is she depressed? She's just a talkative woman with a ton of stickers to send. He felt like Lin Jilly did not have depression, but after these 10 sessions of messaging, he would probably be depressed himself. He swore he would delete her contact, no, he would blacklist her, after the 10 sessions. The woman was really a pain in his The two of them chatted for almost an hour, and finally, Lin Jilly said she had something to do and left. She left a goodbye sticker for Su-young and stopped replying. Su-young heaved a breath of relief. He checked the mission tab in the system. Bronze mission. Hear Lin Jilly out and patiently reply to her messages, 1/10. He then turned off the system interface. You win this round, system, you win. Due to Lin Jilly's sudden interruption, it ruined Su-young's mood to continue the point. Adding. He had already gotten a special item anyway and it was more than enough for the day. If he forcefully continued and caused more problems, he would be done for. Besides, he still had to find out what happened to Tang Xiaomi and what the tutoring was about. Why would he get a tutoring mission all of a sudden? With that in mind, Su-young brought up the holographic panel of his phone homepage and sent a message to Tang Jing via WeChat. How are you, Sister Tang? Is Xiaomi being a good girl? In less than a few seconds, Tang Jing replied, don't even get me started. Xiaomi just sent another home tutor packing. Now, I see, the system really has a reason behind the missions. However, Su-young was skeptical about tutoring a child of 4 to 5 years old. Does Xiaomi need a home tutor at her age? What is the tutoring for? Of course, she needs a tutor. My friends get a home tutor for their kids at a very young age. The tutor teaches their kids simple language, mathematics, English, etc. while playing with them. They say it will make the kids win from the starting line. Su-young pondered about the matter seriously. Are all parents in Shanghai this strict about their children? Teaching them stuff at such a young age? But this may be a chance. Since Su-young started his company, his thoughts revolved around his company's benefits. Junqing Intermediary had some stable part-times but not for long or even mid-term. Could he connect the dots here and secure some long or mid-term part-timers like a home tutor or whatnot? If it was workable, he could locate suitable clients and find a suitable candidate among the interested university students. All he had to do was connect both parties and he could earn the intermediary fee. The light bulb lit up above his head and connected to more dots. Through this home tutoring job, Su-young thought of even more part-time possibilities. The home tutors and part-timers were all hard-working students as they used their time to earn extra money. If that was the case, was it possible for him to locate a company with limited funding but could match the university students' majors? He could very well be the bridge between the two parties. The students could utilize what they learned in class and the company could earn cheap labor while accumulating potential talent. On top of that, his company could earn intermediary fees from both sides. This three-way win-win situation packed a lot of potential. Besides, these two-part time jobs would never damage his company's reputation or status in any way. In fact, it would even hasten his company's status. With that in mind, Su Yang paid more attention to this random mission. He replied, "Sister Tang. If it's urgent, I can help out for a day or two. I'm attending Shanghai University, so I think my results speak for itself. Other than English, I've got A's in all my subjects, but I think teaching a preschooler English should be fine. Besides, Xiaomi and I get along well." Su Yang did not receive a reply after that. Tang Jing might have something on her mind, but he was not in a hurry. Good things came to those who waited. After an hour or so, night arrived. Only then did Su Yang receive a call from Tang Jing. He picked it up, and the first thing Tang Jing said was, "Su Yang, where are you? I want to have a talk." She sounded so formal that it made Su Yang feel it was not just about Tang Xiaomi. He said, "I'm at home now. Give me a place and I'll meet you there, Sister Tang." However, Tang Jing did not ask Su Yang to meet her outside. "Why not I come to you? I'm driving, so it's easier for me. Give me some time. I'll be there in half an hour." Chapter 64. Going to the bar with Tang Jing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, Su Yang agreed. Since Tang Jing was driving, it was indeed a lot more convenient. Half an hour later, Su Yang met Tang Jing at the entrance of his neighborhood. Tang Jing was dressed in Chanel from top to toe today. She wore a white flare-sleeved shirt coupled with a deep green skirt. The flare-sleeved shirt was a button-down top, but the first button was left unbuttoned, revealing her deep cleavage. That deep green skirt had a high waist and it drew out her slender figure perfectly. She was still dressed in a matured business style, but maybe because the color palette was a little plain, it changed her tender and soft temperament to appear as a haughtier and cooler big sister. The Porsche's window was wound down when she saw Su Yang. She raised her hand for a wave and called out, "Su Yang." Her loose floral sleeves fluttered along with her hand and she looked beautiful. Su Yang smiled and answered, "Sister Tang." "Get in," Tang Jing said with a tender tone. Su Yang got into the passenger seat and the car drove off. While she was steering the wheel, she asked, "What do you want to drink?" "Water." Tang Jing was slightly stunned before she chuckled. She added, "Do you want to have bubble tea at a bubble tea shop, coffee at a coffee shop, or alcohol at a bar?" He thought it over and said, "I'm okay with anything. I just want to have some water." She nodded and said softly, "I guess it's the healthiest choice." After that, she stepped on the pedal and turned in the other direction. "Let's go to a bar then. I want to have some alcohol." The Porsche sprinted across the Shanghai highway. Sitting in the passenger seat, Su Yang gazed at the bright city under the night sky as he asked, "Are you having a bad time?" Tang Jing continued driving as she said, "Not really. It's just that having a glass or two makes me sleep better." Su Yang grunted in realization and said, "Do you drink often?" Tang Jing did not deny it this time as she said, "I guess. I do have a glass or two every 2 to 3 days." "Then, I guess you are a slight alcoholic." Tang Jing looked at him in shock. "No way. Aren't alcoholics people who drink every day?" Su Yang pointed at the road. "Keep your eyes on the road. It's dangerous." She quickly switched her attention back to the road, and then Su Yang's explanation followed. An alcoholic refers to someone who relies on alcohol to a certain extent. Normal people drink to socialize or just want to have some when the tension is high. If they don't feel like it, they won't take any alcohol. In your case, since you actively seek out alcohol once every 2 to 3 days, it means that you have a slight reliance on alcohol. "Then, what should I do?" asked Tang Jing. "It's not a big problem actually. Many people share the same situation and drinking is better than smoking, so having a glass or two once every 2 to 3 days is fine. Tang Jing was speechless. She thought the conversation would lead to a serious topic, but after that much explanation, she did not understand what Su Yang was trying to say. However, Su Yang would never tell her that he just wanted to show off his knowledgeable side. After they reached the bar, she got down from the car and walked into the place with Su Yang beside her. The bar was a quiet one. It was not situated in a noisy district and did not have any bright, colorful neon signs. There was no dance floor inside as well. A soothing piano melody echoed inside and chatter could be heard from all corners. Gru would probably like this place if this bar sells milk that it. Tang Jing brought Su Yang to a two-person sofa seat and they sat down side by side. She called the waiter over and ordered an angel's kiss cocktail for herself and a glass of iced water for Su Yang. Su Yang did not care about her conversation with the waiter. Instead, he sized the bar up. This bar felt more like a bar than the last one he visited to meet Jiang Yen. With the inverted wine glasses, the soft music in the air, and people toasting with each other with clear clinks, it was a pleasant scene to the eyes. Jiang Yan's bar felt like it was in a fairy tale. It was unrealistic. After she made the order with the waiter, Tang Jing turned around and saw Su Yang sizing up the bar. She asked, "First time?" Su Yang shook his head and then nodded. "I guess. I visited one before to meet someone, but that one was unlike this one." "How's that one like?" Tang Jing asked. He thought for a while and searched for the appropriate words before he said, "Flowers." There were flowers everywhere. The entire bar was like a garden. Even the drinks had flowers inside. Tang Jing smiled. Her smile brought out the beauty of a southern lady. She said, "La Moda. I think that other than La Moda, there's only one more flowery bar named Floral Sea in Shanghai." The meeting with Jiang Yen had been a week ago, so Su Yang had forgotten the bar name. Therefore, he simply said, "I guess. I didn't pay attention to the name." The conversation between the two of them suddenly came to a halt. When the beverages were served, Tang Jing and Su Yang clinked their glasses before she said, "You mentioned in WeChat that you want to become Xiaomi's home tutor, didn't you?" Su Yang took a sip of iced water and shook his head. "Not a home tutor. I'm just filling the spot before you get a new one since I still have classes to attend and I have my own matters to attend to. I can't just become a full-time home tutor." Tang Jing swirled her glass. The cocktail she ordered looked really beautiful. There were 2 layers in her glass whereby the bottom layer was red wine and the upper layer was fresh cream. The strange thing was that on top of the glass were some skewered cherries. They were laid down horizontally, and when she picked the skewer up and dipped it into her cocktail, a tiny vortex swirled on the cream and it moved like a woman's lips. Tang Jing dipped the skewered cherries up and down a few times before she suddenly diverted the topic. "I heard from Xiaomi that you are in need of money." A little pause later, she added, "1 million, am I right?" Su Yang was slightly stunned. He did not expect Tang Xiaomi to tell her mother about his situation, but it was not some secret anyway, so he nodded. "Yes." She looked at him. "Did that something happen to your parents?" "I'm sorry if I'm being rude." With a smile, he took another sip of iced water. "No, they are fine. It's just that I want to earn more money." He paused and realized his reason was too weak, so he added, "I have higher demands for myself. I was the best among my peers since I was young, but after I came to Shanghai, I realized there were a lot of geniuses and talented people here. If I don't even have the confidence to defeat my peers, I'm not worthy of thinking I'm the best. So, I set a target for myself to earn 1 million in 6 months. I know it's impossible but I believe in myself." Truth be told, even Su Yang believed what he just said, as it would be a waste of his talent if he did not end up in sales. Ever since he got the system, Su Yang realized that his ability to talk nonsense was getting stronger. Did he accidentally unlock his Bulsh * Ting ability when he completed the bronze mission the other night? Tang Jing's gaze at Su Yang was clear as water while she was carried away by what he said. A confident man who is willing to fight for his goal is the most attractive. I've never been wrong. When Su Yang uttered those words, he really looked like Dad. Chapter 65. Tutoring plans settled. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tang Jing's father was from the reform and opening up period. He was a local Shanghainese, and during that time, all he needed to do was stay at home obediently and wait for the country to develop, but he did not. 1992 was a very important year in the reform and opening up period because that year solidified the country's economic status and Shanghai's stock exchange was introduced. From the original 8 pioneer shares, the number of new shares was increased to 37. Tang Jing's father believed that this was a golden opportunity, so he persuaded the entire family to sell the house and invest all the money in new shares and subscription warrants. However, since the house was his family's roots, Tang Jing's grandfather almost strangled his own son for doing something this risky. It was then that Tang Jing's father's decisiveness and boldness came into play. He decided to split up with his father's family and go solo. Back then, people lived in villages, and usually when a family split up, the house would be divided into 2 or a new house would be built. Tang Jing's grandfather compromised and gave her father a few thousand yuan to help him build a new house. However, her father used those few thousand yuan to buy new shares. Some people probably knew what happened after that. In a few months, the value of the shares multiplied almost 10 times, so the few thousand her father invested became 200,000 yuan and more. 200,000 yuan in 1992 was an astronomical figure. Back then, a square meter of land in Pudong district, the financial district, was only a few thousand yuan. Tang Jing's father did not stop there after the initial success. He invested half of the 200,000 yuan in properties throughout Shanghai and the rest were reinvested in shares. That was the rise of his success. Even though Tang Jing was still very young then at only 2 to 3 years old, her tiny heart would always remember what happened that night. Her father sat down on the stool in their old house, smoking cigarette after cigarette, going on for more than 2 hours. When he was down to the last cigarette, he clenched his teeth and said to his mother, "Wifey, I want to split with my father. I want the money to buy shares. I can't let this opportunity slip away." When her father uttered those words, his eyes were confident and persistent just like Su Yang's eyes at the moment. While Tang Jing took a stroll down memory lane, Su Yang's voice suddenly entered her ears, "Sister Tang, Sister Tang." Tang Jing regained her senses and she replied with a soft squeal. Su Yang asked, "Are you all right?" Tang Jing was at a loss. "You were spacing out just now. Are you feeling okay?" asked Su Yang. Tang Jing blushed. She took a sip of her angel's kiss and averted his gaze. "I'm fine. I was just thinking about something." Su Yang did not press on the matter since everyone had their own secrets. He always had his curiosity in check. To cover up her embarrassment, Tang Jing raised her glass for another sip and then said, "Do you have a plan yet?" Su Yang then told her about his company and everything that he had done recently. They were not secrets anyway, although he skipped the part about his future goals. Tang Jing was obviously not experienced in this field. She was just following Su Yang's pace during the conversation. Despite being a woman in her 30s, she responded like a cute little girl, "I have no idea about what you just said, but if you need help, just come to me." Other than having limited curiosity, Su Yang's other positive point was being practical. Since Tang Jing offered to help, he went straight to the point. "Sister Tang, I actually need a little help." Tang Jing looked at him. Maybe because of the cocktail and the little embarrassment, her sight was rather blurry, and she felt as if she was looking through a layer of mist. Su Yang said, "You said you have a lot of friends who are looking for home tutors for their children, don't you? Can you introduce me to them?" I think I can introduce some of the students to fill the spots. Tang Jing thought for a while and answered, sure. We will have a gathering in a day or two, so I'll go ask around, but you'd better prepare a list for me to introduce them to. Of course. That won't be a problem, said Su Yang. After that, he added, on top of that, Sister Tang, do you have connections to different fields in Shanghai? I want to target companies in different fields. Maybe I can find the students a suitable company for part-time jobs or even internship opportunities. Tang Jing thought about it even longer than before and eventually nodded. I think I have some. Let me ask around. After going over the official matters, the two of them talked about Tang Xiaomi's studies. According to Tang Jing, Tang Xiaomi had a good memory and had proper mastery of literature and English. Reciting a classical poem or memorizing English words were a piece of cake for the little girl. The problem with Tang Xiaomi was mathematics. She had trouble learning how to count and would always make unnecessary mistakes. Su Yang said, I have an almost perfect score in mathematics in both high school and university. I'm quite good at it. Tang Jing added, but as a child's tutor, you still have to play with her. You have to take care of her and not let her wander around, so it might take you a whole day. He nodded. If it's on a weekend, it should be fine. I'm just helping you to make it through these 2 weeks. I'll be on my way when you get a replacement. Tang Jing pondered and said, I've been thinking that I think I should stop with the home tutoring. Xiaomi should be going to a kindergarten now. I'll find a suitable kindergarten for her in the next 2 weeks instead. Then, she sighed before continuing, I don't actually want her to attend kindergarten at this age. That's why I bring her wherever I go, but after having lost her twice, it made me nervous. I got her a nanny and a home tutor, but I still can't stop worrying. After some serious thinking, I realized that sending her to a kindergarten is much safer. I'll have to find one that's near to my office, so I can visit her during lunch. Su Yang empathized with Tang Jing's situation. After all parents cared about their children. This meeting did not go on for the whole night because Tang Xiaomi was waiting for Tang Jing at home. After the discussion, they left. Tang Jing wanted to drive Su Yang home, but he stopped her by reminding her, Sister Tang, there are a million roads out there, but there's only one life. Safety first. Don't drink and don't drive when you drink. I think it's better for you to call a designated driver. Tang Jing was a timid person, so she meekly nodded after Su Yang warned her about the potential danger. A while later, the designated driver arrived, but upon seeing that it was a man, Su Yang was worried about Tang Jing since she had consumed alcohol, so he decided to send her home first. He thought Tang Jing would return to the villa in Jinggan district, but she said that she was going to the waterfront promenade, or the Bund. Yikes, she's a really wealthy lady. She basically has a house in every corner of Shanghai. Su Yang was really thinking about asking her to be his sugar mommy. When they arrived at Tang Jing's place, he realized that he had underestimated the wealth of this Shanghai lady. Her place was located in Luxian Garden. It might not be the most expensive neighborhood in Shanghai, but a single square meter in this place cost around 140,000 yuan, so a single unit would cost at least 10 million. If Su Yang could have a toilet of 7 square meters in this place, he would easily complete his silver mission. After the designated driver parked the car and Su Yang rejected Tang Jing's offer to go in for a drink, he took the subway back to his own neighborhood. When he arrived at his neighborhood, Su Yang did not sprint back home right away. He remembered that he still had to fill up the slots in the faucet and expand his beverage empire, so he headed to the supermarket and bought many big bottles of his favorite drinks. When he walked past the alcohol section, Su Yang conveniently took a bottle of Tsingtao beer. He wanted to have a test with beer first. If he could drink 500 milliliters in a single breath, he would move on to other alcohol. If he could not, he must find another way. With a bunch of beverages in his hands, Su Yang made the payment under the cashier's strange gaze. He then headed back with several bags of beverages in his hand. Right after he stepped into his neighborhood, his phone rang. It was from an unregistered number. 1. These are the shares that pioneered the share market in China. It is considered a historical remain from the previous generation. Interested folks can Google the term. Chapter 66. A Self-Earning Smart Pet. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Su Yang looked at the bags of beverages while his phone kept ringing in his pocket. A quick hesitation later, he said, "Dini, answer the phone and put it on loudspeaker." Right after the call went through, a rather rough voice with an accent came through the phone. "Hello, is this Mr. Su?" Su Yang continued walking as he answered the phone. "Yes, I am." "Who is this?" The rough voice said, "I'm the delivery man. Your parcel is here." The first reaction Su Yang had was shock. **T. Have I been exposed? Did the related department get tired of checking water meters, 1, and change to the pretext of delivering a parcel? Should I run away? He would not have any burden even if he ran away because all his belongings were in his phone, even his clothes. He was practically living a nomadic life. However, what the delivery man said next stopped him from running away. "You ordered 2 bags of dog food. Have you forgotten about it? Dog food. 2 bags." Su Yang immediately related it to Little Hus. "Did that son of a b***tch order dog food with my phone?" The strangest thing that could happen on the internet was a cat ordering cat food for itself through the internet, but in Su Yang's case, his bolster had ordered dog food for itself. No one would ever believe it. With that in mind, Su Yang sprinted back home with his beverages. He did not want to put the beverages in his phone because he was walking on the street and it was not convenient for him to show off his special ability. When he reached his basement, a rugged-looking delivery man stood in front of his door. He was wearing a blue shirt and was as big as the bike that he was riding. He was tapping his foot anxiously. Right after he saw Su Yang came by, he strode over and passed the parcel to Su Yang. "Thank goodness you finally came. I'm almost late for my next delivery." "Thanks." Before his voice even subsided, he got onto his bike and drove off like the wind. Su Yang was holding 2 bags of dog food in his left hand and a bunch of beverages in his right, so he had a hard time opening the door, but he eventually got in. After he locked the door, the first thing he did was take out his phone and scan all the things inside. He then followed the items into the virtual space of his phone. When he reached the villa, Little Hus was already hopping around excitedly. The tiny edges of the bolster hugged the 2 bags of dog food tightly. Dini and Gru had their attention on the milk that Su Yang had bought as if they were hungry lions looking at their prey. Su Yang cleared his throat and announced his arrival. Dini and Gru immediately responded by looking at him, but Little Hus was in his own world. Su Yang kicked the bolster away and said to Gru, "Drag him back." Gru was exceptionally quick when it came to punishing Little Hus. Its sprout extended in an instant and it grabbed Little Hus and constricted his body. Then, it dragged the bolster back to Su Yang. Su Yang looked at Little Hus with a sharp gaze. "Little Hus, my, look at you, being all independent and stuff. You got so smart that you ordered something for yourself." Little Hus rolled his eyes at Su Yang. "It wasn't me." Su Yang bellowed, "Who else in this house eats dog food other than you?" Little Hus switched his gaze to Dini, but he did not reveal the answer, "I don't know." He tried to act fierce but he somehow appeared like a grumpy child. Su Yang also moved his gaze to Dini, who quickly lowered her head and said with grievance, "I'm sorry, master. I made the order." Little Hus smirked. Su Yang was shocked. He pulled Dini closer and asked patiently, "Why did you buy the dog food? Do you want to have a taste?" She shook her head and said meekly, "Little Hus made me buy it." Su Yang turned around to the bolster. "I did not." Little Hus said. Trusting the right person was actually simple in this case. Su Yang did not argue with Little Hus. Instead, he asked Dini, "Where did you get the money for the order?" This was what concerned him the most. He never received any notifications about deducting his money via text or WeChat, and the delivery man had not asked for payment either, so where did Dini get the money for the dog food? Dini lowered her head and touched her pointer fingers together. "I earned it behind your back." Su Yang was shocked. "How did you do it?" He did not remember giving her any allowance, so how did she make money? "I earned the money by doing missions on the internet." Su Yang was more confused than ever. Doing missions. He then found out about what Dini meant by doing missions. In the past few days, other than learning on the internet, Dini got addicted to earning money through clicking links. She would just have to download a certain app or click on a link, and when the traffic reached a certain number, she would be paid. After she found out about the platform, she clicked on links non-stop for 24 hours a day, hence the money she earned. Su Yang was beyond words when he heard Dini's explanation. Holy sh*t. My smart pet can earn money by herself. The guilt and grievance still ate Dini up after telling Su Yang the truth, and she was on the brink of breaking down in tears. "I just want to earn some money to sustain myself so that the phone service won't be cut off. I didn't do it on purpose." Su Yang hugged her in his arms and caressed her head softly, offering a word of consolation. "This girl is really lovable." Even after Su Yang consoled her, her guilt remained and she started crying in Su Yang's arms. "But the platform froze my account because they suspect that I might be scamming them." "I didn't scam anyone. I just click on the links faster than others." Su Yang almost choked on his own giggles. Even though it might sound pitiful, it was also funny. An AI was suspected to be a scammer because she clicked on the links too fast or downloaded the suggested app too many times to the point that her account was suspended for illegal activities. It was funny no matter how he looked at it. After calming Dini down, Su Yang decided to get to the bottom of this matter, so he asked, "How much did you make from the platform?" Dini meekly raised 2 of her fingers. 20 yuan. She shook her head. 200 yuan. She continued shaking her head. "Don't tell me you made 2,000 from the platform. It's 1,200. I don't even know what your fingers mean." "How do I know how much you made?" She did make 1,200 yuan in a few days, so it was quite normal for the platform to have suspended her account. "But did you transfer the money out? Otherwise, how could you have used it to buy things?" "I don't remember you having an Alipay account," Su Yang asked. Dini answered meekly, "You have a second account in WeChat and I thought that since you aren't using it, I borrowed it." "Great. An AI can recycle unwanted things now." Su Yang looked at Dini with a serious expression. "Dini, you are still young. There's no point for you to have this much money. Give it to me. I'll keep it for you, and when you grow older, I'll use the money to prepare your dowry." A layer of tears covered Dini's big googly eyes as she pouted and wanted to cry. Su Yang cleared his throat to clear the awkwardness and he gave up on the inhumane thought. Okay, I won't take your money, but why did you buy dog food for Little Hus?" Dini looked at Little Hus and then lowered her head. "You said you'd buy 2 bags of dog food for him, and he said he really wanted to have it now, so he made me pay for it first. He said you'd pay me back when you got back." Su Yang was speechless. This bloody dog that I mean, Bolster, is really cunning. Too smart, in fact. Did he realize I was just bluffing, so he tricked Dini into buying him the dog food? Regardless, since Dini had paid for the dog food, it was not right for Su Yang to take it for granted, so he transferred the money for the dog food to Dini via WeChat. After that, Su Yang grabbed Little Hus in his left hand and held the carrot or the ginseng in his right hand. He was thinking whether he should beat the Bolster up first or add a point to the ginseng first. 1. Checking the water meter. Internet slang, of the police, to ask to be let in on the pretext of checking the water meter to barge into people's home on false pretenses. Mostly used in a joking manner when you spot a lolicon. Chapter 67. Life Evolution Failed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a quick thought, Su-young decided to go with the point adding first. I'll have to see what I get from the point adding. If it's something good, I'll show a little mercy to that bolster. If it's something bad, the villa seems a little dirty. He tossed Little Hus to Gru and told Gru to bind him down. He even specifically told Gru to shut Little Hus' doggy mouth so that he could concentrate on adding the point to the ginseng. Wild ginseng, remark. A wild ginseng from Changbai Mountain that has been in the mountains for 15 years. It was rare for the system to provide a remark for an item before the point was added, thus it raised Su-yang's anticipation for the ginseng. He softly tapped on the plus sign on the upper right. The ginseng suddenly shone brightly, and amidst the dazzling shine, Su-yang heard an odd sound. It was the sound of a growing heartbeat. Su-yang had never experienced this before. Was it a sign of something great? Just as the thought appeared in his mind, a heavy grunt came from the dazzling light. Ouch! The light then got sucked into the ginseng rapidly. Su-yang then sized up the ginseng in his hand. It had not changed much in terms of looks. It was just a little hairy at the top. However, he was certain that he heard someone grunt, so he shook the ginseng, hoping for a response. The ginseng did not move at all, so he shook it again but still got nothing. He even pinched it but there was still nothing. Am I hearing things? Since he could not get a response from the ginseng, he waited for the system to show the result. About 30 seconds later, a new window finally popped up above the wild ginseng. Wild ginseng +1. Live evolution failed. Acquired simple intellect. Acquired simple special ability. Special ability remark. The wild ginseng has great recovery effects on the human body from a simple bruise, a burn, a cut, or the regeneration of a broken limb and even extension of life itself. You can ask the ginseng about the details. Ask the ginseng for the details. Su-yang poked the ginseng and asked, I'm having a cold. What should I eat? The wild ginseng finally opened its eyes and spoke, 1 centimeter of the roots at my top. Wow, it can really speak. Su-yang continued, I cut my hand, and the bleeding can't stop. The wild ginseng said, 2 centimeters of my top. Interesting. I broke my leg. The wild ginseng slowly turned around for a glance at Su-yang. My left arm. Su-yang sized up the wild ginseng's arm. Its arm was rather robust and was as thick as a thumb. He then cleared his throat and continued, what if someone cut both my legs? The wild ginseng went quiet for a moment before it scrunched its face up at him. Come on. Just eat me. Look at you and your little temper. After that, the wild ginseng turned its head away and acted like it was a normal piece of ginseng. Su-yang poked it again and asked, will your roots or arm grow back if I cut them? 1 centimeter every 2 days, 1 arm every 2 months, and twice the current size every 2 years, the wild ginseng replied. Su-yang pictured it for a moment and asked, will you eventually become the 1,000-hand bodhisattva? The wild ginseng did not reply, so Su-yang poked it again. Will you? It turned its head around and looked askance at Su-yang, then it turned back away. What the hell? You are all wrinkled and crumpled and the life evolution even failed on you. How dare you show me that face of disgust? Su-yang flicked the wild ginseng's head with his fingers, causing it to shudder, but the ginseng played dead by keeping its eyes closed. Oh well, at least I got something. Su-yang did not know whether to categorize the wild ginseng as a little monster like Gru or a special item like the faucet. Nevertheless, it was better than failing entirely. However, the wild ginseng was a cool one and was not as caring as Gru. Since these two little monsters were plant-based, Su Yang put the ginseng under Gru's care. Gru was quite happy. It exchanged Little Hus with Su Yang, and when it got the ginseng, it grew.ed non.stop. The ginseng glanced at Gru and said, "Sure," before it closed its eyes. Gru then brought its flower pot over, dug a hole, and planted the ginseng inside. Su Yang sharply realized something when he saw that. "Can you understand Gru?" The ginseng glanced at him. "Yes." "Can you translate for me?" Su Yang had always wanted to talk to Gru without the language barrier. However, the ginseng shut its eyes and did not answer. Su Yang was speechless. Did he just say no? He said no, didn't he? Didn't he? It was then that the bolster in Su Yang's hand responded. It stuck its doggy tongue out and said, "Su Yang. Su Yang. I can also understand the twig." Su Yang was skeptical when he looked at Little Hus. "Are you being serious right now?" The husky on the bolster nodded repeatedly and said, "Yes, I am. I am. We are all products of life evolution, so of course, we can understand each other." "Dini!" Su Yang called loudly. Dini flew down from the second floor with the rabbit with wings. "Yes, master." "Can you understand Gru?" Dini shook her head in a cute manner. Su Yang looked back to Little Hus and grinned. Hee hee. Little Hus struggled and argued, "I can. I can understand the twig. I swear. I'd be an idiot if I believe you." After beating Little Hus up, Su Yang tossed the bolster into a pail of water and made it clean the villa again. He was not allowed to sleep before every corner of the villa was spotless. Since Little Hus was living under Su Yang's roof and even considered himself grounded, he accepted his fate and cleaned the villa. Su Yang then named the ginseng Sankei, which meant 3 imperfections or 3 missing parts in Chinese. Why Sankei? Because of the failed life evolution, the simple intellect, and the lack of mindfulness. He picked this name because it would sound a lot better than perk, which meant 2 imperfections and sounded very similar to a vulgarity. On top of that, the Chinese character of ginseng had 3 strokes in it that resembled the character 3. Su Yang named it based on the resemblance of the character. Sankei moved into Gru's little flower pot, and the only use of the ginseng that Su Yang could come up with at the moment was saving his own life if he chugged 500 milliliters of 82 Chateau Lafite. Thankfully, he did not have the red wine yet, so he was not in a hurry. After the point-adding session, he washed up and went to bed. On the morning of the second day, the system notification woke him up. Beep. Silver Mission Stage Statistics. Su Yang opened his blurry eyes and went blank for a full minute, but he still did not know what had happened. In the end, the system had to notify him for a second time to completely wake him up. Silver Mission Stage Statistics. Confused, Su Yang tapped on the button. March's Silver Mission Stage Statistics. Mission Duration. 15 days. Personal Profit. 2,478, Company Profit. 7,510, Company Value. 0, Mission Completion. 1%, Remark. Young man, have you sleeping for the past 2 weeks? Su Yang blinked helplessly at the remark. Is the system insulting me? I'm saving up a little by little and sharpening my skills to build my business empire. If I don't have a steady base, how can my empire stand strong? However, time had really flown by in the blink of an eye. Su Yang pondered about the duration and realized that it had been half a month since he accepted his silver mission. Time was a surreal concept and a magical thing that could slip by without one noticing. 1/12 of his mission duration was gone and he had only achieved 1% completion of the mission. I guess I'll have to work harder. Chapter 68. To Tang Jing's house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yang carefully went through the stage statistics and realized that in the individual profit row, there should be the 480 yuan compensation from Junqing intermediary and Lin Jili's 666 yuan red packets. Under the company profit, the system only calculated the net profit, which was sales minus cost. After looking at the numbers, Su Yang believed that the system must have deducted this month's pay and commission for Wang Dong. The only good news was that no matter how much work Wang Dong did for the upcoming 2 weeks or how much profit he could generate, the system would only deduct 10% of the sum. After some thoughts, Su Yang realized that it was actually not great news either. This should be the way the system was supposed to calculate. All small to medium enterprises had a 300,000 tax exemption quota every season, so he would not even need to pay tax for now. The system could not just forcefully tax him for this. Regardless of that, after hustling for half a month, he only managed to earn 10,000 yuan. He still had 5.5 months to reach 1 million, so it really was time for him to work harder. With that in mind, Su Yang did not have the mood to sleep anymore. Wakey wakey, it's time to work for a living. After he washed up and came out from the bathroom, Dini already had breakfast prepared for him. As a smartphone pet, Dini did not need to sleep, so she surfed the internet 24 hours a day to learn all kinds of knowledge. She recently found interest in cooking and Su Yang became her guinea pig. Su Yang simply filled his stomach and prepared to leave the virtual space. It was then that his phone ringtone echoed in the villa, and not just once. Several notifications flooded his phone and the ringtone somehow played like an endless symphony in the villa. Su Yang was used to the spamming of notifications. Dini, my phone panel, please. A holographic panel appeared before Su Yang. He tapped on the notifications and realized that he had been invited into a new WeChat group. He was the second member of the group, and the one who had invited him was also the first member. Chu Xia. Chu Xia was adding friends into the group, and in the blink of an eye, the number of group members increased from 2 to 10, 20, 30, and so on. Su Yang glanced at the group chat name. Han Yi Shanghai Fan Group. Is Chu Xia too bored, or does she have too much time on her hands? Or did Han Yi's handshake and present by her heart yesterday? Why would she even have the heart to create a fan group? Su Yang quietly muted the notifications from the group and then turned off WeChat. I have nothing to do with this anyway. I became Han Yi's fan to make money, and if Lin Jili can pay, I'll become her fan as well. He did not care about Chu Xia's silly efforts and headed to Tang Jing's place via the subway. When he sent Tang Jing home last night, they came to an agreement about Su Yang becoming Tang Xiaomi's home tutor starting from today. He would tutor the little girl for 2 to 3 weeks, but only on the weekends. The subway system in Shanghai was well developed and one could travel everywhere conveniently. Soon enough, Su Yang reached the entrance of Tang Jing's neighborhood. Standing at the entrance of the neighborhood filled with millionaires, Su Yang gave Tang Jing a call. Since Tang Jing was already up, she called the security guard to let him through. With the pointers from the security guard, Su Yang shuttled through the bushy path and reached her unit. It was his first time in a high-class neighborhood, and he realized that even in an urban jungle like Shanghai, a neighborhood could still be lush and vibrant. He felt like he was walking in a garden. They even used 2 sliding glass as the gate of the unit, similar to the entrance at a mall. In Su Yang's neighborhood, all the gates were made out of iron and the access control was installed on the gate itself. However, here in Tang Jing's neighborhood, the access control was installed on the pillar beside the glass door. Su Yang pressed the number 601 and a camera above the glass door lit up. A moment later, a clear beep sounded and the glass door slid open. He walked in and took the elevator to the 6th floor. The door to Unit 601 was open, and a little girl's head popped out, peeking at him. It was Tang Xiaomi. Her eyes curled up into thin lines and her cute dimples were deep as her smile widened. Su Yang. Su Yang. You are here. She ran out of the house and hugged Su Yang's leg. Su Yang caressed her tiny head and held her hand into the house. Tang Jing was waiting at the entrance. She was wearing a plain floral apron and had probably just finished cooking. Coupled with her soft eyeliner and the tender curves of her lips, she looked matured and emanated the presence of a loving mother and caring wife. She was glad that her daughter was close to Su Yang, hence the smile on her face. Tang Jing prepared a pair of slippers for Su Yang and said, "Thank you for coming by this early. Have you eaten breakfast? Do you want to join us?" The curves on Tang Jing's back were absolutely stunning, almost perfect, in fact. They were on full display when she squatted down to prepare the slippers. With her mellow and round hips, her slender waist, and her fair legs that she exposed, every part of her was charming and could easily capture the hearts of men. Su Yang looked away and rejected politely, "I've had my breakfast since I woke up early. You guys go on ahead." Tang Jing stood up and smiled. "Okay. Have a seat first, Xiaomi, and I will join you after we have our breakfast." "Sure." Su Yang changed into the slippers and headed to the sofa. Tang Jing took Tang Xiaomi to the bathroom to wash her hands before she sat down at the dining table for breakfast. The little girl was peeking at Su Yang constantly during breakfast. She giggled softly as if she was delighted by something. Su Yang felt like a child's world was simple. She might feel sad because of some trivial matters but could also be happy over something of the same scale. Tang Jing was a loving mother who would remind the little girl about her table manners and keep putting food in her bowl so that the little girl would not be picky with her food. Breakfast was over after 20 minutes. Tang Xiaomi ran to Su Yang with a glass of milk and started to giggle in a silly manner. Su Yang caressed her head and asked, "What are you giggling about?" Tang Xiaomi lifted the glass and had some milk as she peeked at Su Yang through the tiny gap of her cup and said in a muffled voice, "Mommy said you are here to teach me, so I'm really happy." What a silly girl. After Tang Jing cleaned the table and washed the dishes, she went to the sofa and carried her daughter on her lap. She then said to Su Yang, "I'll be heading out later to settle some matters. I'll leave Xiaomi in your care." Su Yang nodded. "No problem. What is Xiaomi currently focusing on?" Tang Jing took her daughter's textbook out. "Mainly mathematics. She's already on the 5th grade level, but she's having problems with some calculations." Su Yang was speechless. 5th grade level. A 4-year-old child. He looked at the little girl who was drinking milk in her mother's arms. No wonder this little imp is so smart. She's a genius. But isn't it a little too early for her? Although Su Yang voiced his concerns, Tang Jing was not overly concerned. She explained, "I'm not forcing Xiaomi to learn or occupy her time. She just has a great memory and can master what she learns in a short while. She's free to play when she finishes learning, but she's having problems with mathematics." Chapter 69. The Genius Tang Xiaomi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As a matter of fact, the curriculums in kindergarten and elementary school barely required any logical thinking except for mathematics. They tested the child's memory more than anything. If Xiaomi had a great memory, it would be easy for her to master the subjects quickly. Mathematics required logical thinking, and girls were naturally weaker in this aspect. As a 4-year-old girl, Xiaomi was considered amazing to have reached a 5th grader's level. After Tang Jing left for her business, Su Yang caressed Xiaomi's head and decided to find out just how good she was. "Xiaomi, where are you now in mathematics?" Xiaomi looked at Su Yang with her big googly eyes as if she had stars in them. "I'm at prime numbers and composite numbers." "She's this fast." A little thought later, Su Yang decided to find out more about Xiaomi's level, so he asked, "Here's a little test. Is 1 a prime number?" Xiaomi shook her head. "No, 1 is not a prime number. It's also not a composite number." Not bad." Su Yang asked, is 2 a prime number? Xiaomi blinked and said in a cute tone, 2 is the only even prime number. Su Yang nodded. She can really memorize. He continued, is 6 a prime number or a composite number? Xiaomi said without a second thought, 6 is a composite number because 6 is an even number. Awesome. What about 5? Xiaomi answered in delight, 5 is also a composite number because 2 plus 3 equals 5. Surprised, Su Yang reacted like the confused Nick Young meme. What? He asked, if 2 plus 3 equals 5, what is 6 divided by 2? Xiaomi was caught off guard this time. She put her fingers up and started counting. Su Yang was speechless. Something isn't right. Multiplications under 10 should be within the curriculum of 2nd or 3rd grade, so why is she counting like that? He pinched Xiaomi's cheeks and said, tell me. How did you solve the mathematics question before this? Why does your mother think you are at a 5th grader's level? Xiaomi rolled her eyes and she averted Su Yang's gaze, refusing to answer. Then, Su Yang pinched her cheeks with both his hands and it made her blush slightly. She then smacked his hands away and said, ouch. Stop pinching me. I'll talk. When he released her, Xiaomi said with grievance while rubbing her cheeks, I memorize all the answers. The tutor and mommy ask me questions from the workbook, so all I have to do is memorize the answer. He was shocked by what he heard. My goodness, this little imp is having trouble with logical thinking, so she made it up with her memory. Su Yang grabbed a book on the table. He flipped to a random page and gave it to Xiaomi. Here, you have 5 minutes to memorize this. Xiaomi peeked at Su Yang and said meekly, there are so few words here. I can do it within a minute. Again, Su Yang was speechless. A minute later, she recited the contents flawlessly and he finally believed her. Even though she pronounced some words wrongly and skipped some words that she did not know, he believed that she could really memorize everything. Is this little imp a scanner? Is she something that I added points to? Su Yang sized up Xiaomi with a suspicious gaze. The people that he met recently were not normal. Their talents were off the charts. Xiaomi's photographic memory might turn her into the main character of some novel or drama series. Su Yang rubbed his chin while looking at Xiaomi. Should I flatter her while she's still young? However, Xiaomi was a girl and usually, in a female-led novel, there would always be a dominant CEO or whatnot. Even if he flattered her for 10 years, he might not become the male lead in her life, so he discarded the thought. Maybe because he realized he would never become the male lead in Xiaomi's life, the grudge in his mind made him serious. He started to teach Xiaomi mathematics, starting from the simplest functions of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. He finally understood why the system had assigned him the random mission with the title Tutor Tang Xiaomi once. The point of the mission was to tutor her because she was having trouble learning mathematics. Even on weekends, Tang Jing came back late, so Su Yang and Xiaomi ordered takeaway for lunch. Su Yang had actually prepared tomatoes with fried egg, but it turned into an abomination and tasted like poison. Under Xiaomi's despicable gaze, Su Yang finally realized why Dini's cooking was so terrible. Therefore, the two of them ordered takeaway. Xiaomi generously ordered 2 portions of yellow stewed chicken. Maybe because the yellow stewed chicken she had at Su Yang's place left a good impression on her, she kept feeding Su Yang the chicken and said, there's enough for both of us here. Su Yang seized the moment and bullied her by saying, this isn't on you by the way. You still have to buy me a meal, a big one. Xiaomi pouted and nodded. When Tang Jing got home, Su Yang updated her on Xiaomi's studies. He was not stabbing Xiaomi in the back, but hiding a child's progress from a parent was not a good idea. Only by being honest about Xiaomi's talent and what she was lacking was he being responsible for her future. Tang Jing was also shocked when she heard that her daughter memorized the answers beforehand, but after she verified it herself, she had to admit that her daughter was a little genius except in mathematics. It seemed like every genius had their own downside, just like how Su Yang's weakness was English. In the end, Su Yang talked to Tang Jing about the tutoring. Since he had to attend classes on weekdays, he could only tutor Xiaomi on the weekends, which added up to 5 days in 2 weeks. The tutoring started at 9 a.m. and ended at 7 p.m. So that was a total of 10 hours. Based on the tutoring rate in Shanghai, which was 200 yuan per hour, it was 2,000 yuan per day and 10,000 in total. Su Yang felt he was earning a lot. He never thought being a home tutor could make this much. Besides, he was playing with Xiaomi half of the time. Since Tang Jing agreed to the rates, he was grateful for her generosity. After dinner, Su Yang left Tang Jing's house. After a whole day of silence, Dini finally spoke up, "Master, you'd better check your WeChat. The notifications have stacked up to more than 99 of them." "Huh? From which group?" Su Yang tapped on WeChat and realized that it was the Hanyi Shanghai fan group that Chu Xia had added him to in the morning. He checked the chat history and learned that the fan group had been successfully established after a whole day, with the number of fans having risen to more than 300. Su Yang checked their introduction and friend circles and realized that they were mostly from Shanghai University. The strangest thing was that he was the president of the fan group while Chu Xia was the vice president. "They chose me as president. Without even asking me." Su Yang scrolled down and noticed that the group was having a heated discussion about Han Yi attending the campus singing competition. According to the chat group, Han Yi was not the only invited guest. Lin Jia, Han Yi's good friend, would also attend it. The two ladies might be BFF in the public eye, but the fans viewed them as competing rivals. Lin Jia was the lead actress before this and she beat Han Yi in terms of presence. So, this time around, we must show our support for Han Yi at the campus singing competition. Yeah. We must at least beat Lin Jia in terms of support. We must let her know that Han Yi is no longer her supporting actress. How should we do it? Should we ask our president to organize something? Sounds like a good idea. Su Yang was once again speechless by what the group said. Is it too late to resign from the position? Chapter 70. Continuous Random Missions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yang had somehow become the president and even realized he became the owner of the group chat as the chat was moved to his WeChat. Doesn't it need my permission to move ownership? WeChat's function is really lousy and insecure. If he had not noticed this particular point, if the group members talked about the government or whatnot, the government might visit his place and invite him back for coffee without his knowledge. While he was thinking about shifting the responsibility, the group started to mention him and tag him. At Su Yang, "President, you there?" "Yeah, President, we need your guidance." "President. President, say something." "What am I supposed to say?" Su Yang decided to play dead. He pocketed his phone and went to the subway. He spent 4 yuan on the fare to reach the nearest station to his neighborhood and walked home. He reached home around 9 p.m. Then, he opened the system and checked his gains for the day. Mission completed. Random point +1, the last random point was used on Sankei, and now, the number changed from 0 to 1 again. It put a smile on Su Yang's face. However, just before he turned off the system, he realized that the tutoring mission had not gone away. Random mission. Tutor Tang Xiaomi for once, 2. Ha. There's a 2 behind it. Is it a second mission? Does it mean I can keep completing this mission? If after I complete 2, will it become 3? If his theory was correct, he would just have to tutor Tang Xiaomi 4 times to get 4 random points. He had always wanted to farm random points with old 6th Lu but failed. Never did he expect to find it with Tang Xiaomi. Su Yang did not know whether to cry or to be happy about it. It seemed like he must help someone with his heart to be able to trigger the mission. Defeated, he discarded the thought of beating the street gangster up for random points. Since he had just completed 2-point adding sessions, he was not in a hurry to add more. According to the iron rule of gacha gaming, after getting 2 SR items, the odds of getting the third in a row would be extremely low. It would be better for him to save the random points up for now and add them together. After all, he had a stable source of random points from Tang Xiaomi's mission and it was uplifting enough. As for what to add the points to, Su Yang came up with several candidates in his mind. The soap. A paper bag. Or should I add points to the trash can? Shanghai is undergoing trash segregation, so maybe I'll get something awesome. Trash can. Sir, what kind of trash do you have there? Throw it inside and let me identify it for you. Regardless, he ought to let Little Hus sniff around first. If the item smelled good, he would add points to it. If it reeked, he would skip it. Su Yang realized that out of all the little monsters he added, Little Hus was the most useful. The trouble he caused the other day and the torment he put Su Yang through did not match his usefulness at all. It was a quiet night. On the second morning, Su Yang woke up extra early because it was Monday when he had the most classes. After he cleaned up, he grabbed his bag and headed to campus. However, along the way to campus, he noticed a lot of passers-by greeting him, most of them strangers. A young girl in a dress was walking towards him. Morning, Su Yang. Morning. A boy with a buzz cut passed him. Morning, mate. Morning. A girl heading out with her school bag. Morning, Su Yang. Morning. Even a guy with a Bluetooth earphone stopped his morning walk and took off his earphone to greet him. Morning, Brother Su. Morning. I guess the true nature of humans is really to repeat. Everyone is saying the same thing. But why does everyone seem to know me overnight? Even though Su Yang was a little famous in his faculty, the Faculty of Arts was not small, so it was unlikely for all the students in the faculty to know him. When he reached the lecture building, more and more students greeted him and some even giggled as they walked away. What the hell happened? Right after the question popped up in his head, he noticed that a group of people had gathered in front of the notice board and they seemed to be discussing something. He walked over on tiptoe, wanting to see what was going on, but there were too many people and their heads blocked him from having a clearer look. With no other options, he simply grabbed someone and asked, "May I know what happened? Did someone get punished?" He thought he was the one getting the punishment because of the number of students greeting him that morning. The student looked at him impatiently and said, "What punishment?" "It's Han Yi's fan club." Fan club. While Su Yang was stunned, the student had a closer look at him and squealed, "Eh? Aren't you Su Yang? The president of the fan club?" Su Yang did not know what to answer. What is going on? What's with the president thing again? Before he could react, all the other students turned around and every one of them looked excited. What are you people looking at? I'm not a Mantu. Thankfully, the students were only excited and were not fanatics. They realized that Su Yang was trying to have a look at the notice board, so they opened up a small path for him to pass. After Su Yang got nearer to the notice board, he saw 3 posters pasted on top. The first one was Han Yi's poster. The evening gown she wore made her look elegant and on her left was a line of words. Han Yi Shanghai Fan Club is established. Organized by Shanghai University's Faculty of Arts. The second poster had Su Yang and Chu Xia's faces on it and there were descriptions about their posts and background. Su Yang was the president of the Han Yi Shanghai Fan Club while Chu Xia was the vice president. In Su Yang's description, other than emphasizing his wide connections and rich resources, and that one time whereby he led everyone to attend the variety show recording at the TV station plus the meeting with Han Yi, it even labeled him as the student whose busking performance had gone viral. Chu Xia's description defined her as the most charming class secretary of the Faculty of Arts. On the poster, they looked handsome and beautiful. Su Yang started to wonder where the designers got his picture. The last poster was a collage of pictures during the recording of the Ace variety show. There was the group shot in front of the TV station, the picture in the studio during the recording, and Han Yi's picture with 6 lucky fans, plus the presents from her. Each picture had its own description and it attracted a lot of attention. Su Yang finally understood why everyone in the faculty had greeted him and why everyone had looked at him with an enthusiastic gaze. If he looked at this from another perspective, as someone who could sing well and was famous throughout the campus plus was able to lead the fans to participate in a popular variety show's recording and meet a popular artist face and get presents from her, who would not want to be close to him? Su Yang looked at the students around him and awkwardly cleared his throat. Just when the students thought he was about to announce something, he lowered his head and fled. After he escaped from the enthusiastic crowd, he frowned at the situation. What the hell? I'm totally not prepared for this. He called Chu Xia right away and told her to meet him in the little garden behind the lecture building. He must make this clear and solve the problem. What if Lin Jili found out about him? On second thought, even if Lin Jili found out about him, nothing would happen, but if she thought that he was Han Yi's fans and categorized him as hostile, what would happen to his bronze mission? Would Lin Jili still have a heart-to-heart talk with him?